Okay, it's 4 o'clock, so we're going to start our slow flow hatha yoga. Welcome, I'm Pat. We're going to start in mountain pose. So let's just start by standing with our feet hip width apart, our shoulders back and down, and our palms open. And as we're standing in mountain, we're going to think about lifting our chest, tightening our core, lifting our knees so that our arches are lifted slightly off the mat, and we press our big toe, our baby toe, and our heel deeply into the mat. And let's just stay in mountain and just do a scan from the top of our head down across our shoulders, our back, across our hips and our knees, into our feet, and just see how everything is feeling today. So we're just going to stand here and breathe. 5 breaths in through our nose and out through our nose. Just focusing on keeping our breathing slow and relaxed, filling our chest. Just take a couple of more breaths. And now let's sweep our arms up overhead, crossing our arms above our head, sweeping down as we exhale. Sweep our arms up, crossing our arms overhead, bringing our arms down as we exhale. One more time, up, sweeping our arms. Exhale as we come down. Now let's lift our arms straight up overhead, palms facing each other but not touching, continuing to press our feet deeply into the mat. Let's press our fingertips up to the ceiling, really feeling a stretch as we press our fingertips as far as we can up to the ceiling, and then exhaling as we come down. Have a big feel. Lift our arms up again, palms facing each other but not touching. Again, pressing our fingertips up to the ceiling, and then exhaling down. Let's do that one more time. Palms up, fingertips pressing up to the sky, palms facing each other but not touching, and exhaling down. Now let's bring our palms together behind our back, interlace our fingers, and let's just press our chest forward as we bring our shoulders back and our shoulder blades together behind our back. Again, just breathing. Just take a couple of breaths in this position. And then releasing our hands, sweeping our arms up again, palms facing but not touching. Let's drop our right arm down, press our fingertips up just slightly to the side as we just feel a stretch up the side of our body. And then let's exhale down. Inhale up again, palms facing each other but not touching. Dropping our left arm down, pressing our fingertips again, just slightly to the side. Our arm is close to our ear, just feeling the stretch up the side of our body. And sweeping our arms down. We'll do that one more time. Bring our arms up, palms facing each other but not touching. Dropping our right arm down, just keeping our left arm close to our ear as we just press slightly to the side, feeling a stretch up the side of our body. And then exhaling down. Inhale up one more time. Drop our left arm down, press our arm close to our ear, fingertips just slightly to the side, feeling that stretch. Now let's bring that arm down and let's interlace our fingers behind our back one more time. Press our chest forward, bring our shoulder blades back, and just holding here, keeping our core tight. Keeping our feet pressed firmly into the mat in mountain. Just hold here for a couple of breaths. And now let's just relax. Let's bring our hands to heart center. Let's turn so that we're facing the short edge of the mat. And let's just move into flying bird. We're just going to wake our body up a little bit more as we continue to move. So let's start by just stepping back with our right foot. Our left knee is bent. Open up our arms and inhale and exhale as we step forward and bring our hands back together. Step back with our left, keeping our right knee bent, open up our arms, exhale as we step forward. Let's just continue to do that, stepping back with our right, opening up our arms, big inhale, exhaling as we step forward. Stepping back with our left, open, exhaling as we step back. Now let's try to combine the stepping back with the inhale at the same time. So let's step back and open our arms at the same time. So stepping back with our right foot, opening our arms, big inhale, exhale back. Open our arms, step back with our left, inhale, stepping forward. Step back with our right, opening our arms at the same time, exhaling as we step forward, stepping back, exhale as we step forward. We're going to do one more on each side. Just again, integrating our right and left sides together, stepping forward. And now let's sit back into chair, keeping our hands at heart center, sit back into chair. Let's open up our arms wide, sweep our arms in front of our bent knees and come all the way up, pressing our fingertips to the opposite wall. Let's do that again. Sit back into chair, sweep our arms in front of our knees, fingertips to the opposite wall. Again, sit back into chair, sweep our arms coming up, and one more time, sit back into chair, sweep our arms, come all the way up. Bring your hands back to heart center, sit back into chair. Now as we're sitting in chair, let's lift our right heel up off the mat, just feeling a stretch in the bottom of our foot, dropping our heel down again. Lift our left foot up, feeling a stretch up the bottom of our foot, dropping our heel down. Straighten up again. Now this time, we're going to sit back into chair. We're going to open up our arms and we're going to come all the way down to the mat into our first child's pose. So let's open up our arms, sit into chair, bring our hands all the way down to the mat, bring our knees down, and let's bring our knees wide to the long edges of the mat. Bring our big toes together and sit back into our first child's pose. And just, our hips might feel a little bit tight in this position, but let's just hold here for 5 breaths, just letting gravity bring our hips down, just relaxing into the mat. And as we take our 5th exhale, let's come up, bring our knees directly under our hips, our palms directly under our shoulders. We spread our fingertips wide, and we're going to move into cat and cow. So in cat and cow, we can have our feet flat on the mat, or we can have our toes turned under, whichever feels more comfortable. We just want to be sure that we are in good alignment so that our knees and our hips are directly in line, and our shoulders and our wrist and our fingertips are spread wide so that we're pressing into the center of our hand and not into our wrist, not causing tension in our wrist. So let's start with cat by dropping our tailbone, rounding our back, looking through our legs, and then moving into cat. Cow, we bring our tailbone up, drop our chest, bring our head forward, big inhale. Back into cat, dropping our tailbone, rounding our back, looking through our legs. And then back into cow by lifting our tailbone, dropping our chest, and looking forward. Now let's just continue to move, always leading with our tailbone. And we can move with our breath. So we can exhale as we come up, inhale as we move back, or we can stay in one of the poses if one feels better for our back. So we can stay in cat for 2 or 3 breaths, or stay in cow for 2 or 3 breaths. We just always lead with our tailbone when we're changing our position. We inhale as our chest is open, and we exhale as we come back looking through our legs. So let's just do 2 more of whatever combination feels good. And this should feel good. Just getting our spine to soften slightly. And then let's do the same again. Let's bring our knees wide, toes together, come all the way down to the mat. And let's bring our head right down, placing our forehead on the mat. And just again, relax into child's pose for 5 breaths. Now let's come back up. Again, bring our knees in line with our hips. Palms again in line with our shoulders. Fingers spread wide, leaning into our palms and not our wrist. And now let's move into spinal balance. So we'll start just with our legs. So let's lift our right leg with the toe to the floor, hip height, aiming to keep our hips nice and level. And we'll just hold here for a couple of breaths. Then placing that foot back on the mat, let's lift our left leg, toe to the floor, again, hip height. Just keeping our core nice and tight, really pressing that leg away, sole of the foot to the back wall. Let's switch again, right leg up. Again, really engage that leg, really pressing the sole of the foot away so that we can really feel our leg working to get strong. And switch again, lift our left leg, toe to the floor. Again, pressing that leg far behind us. We can just lift our leg or we can really engage our leg. Pressing that leg back down again. And this time we're going to add arms. So we're going to lift our right leg. We're going to lift our left arm. And our thumb is to the ceiling and our toe is to the floor. Just hold here for a couple of breaths. And then let's switch. Knee and palm to the floor, left leg, right arm, again, thumb to the ceiling, again, core tight, just holding for a couple of breaths. Knee and palm again. Let's do this 2 more times on each side. So right leg up, left arm, really pressing that leg away, nice and relaxed on our arm. Switching sides, left leg up, right arm, again, nice and relaxed on our arm, really pressing though our fingertips away and the sole of our foot behind us. Switching sides again, last time on each side. So right leg up, left arm, couple of breaths. Other side, left leg up, right arm. And one side's going to feel probably easier than the other side. Palm and knee back down. This time, let's keep our knees where they are in line with our hips, but let's press all the way back into child's pose. And just relax again into child's pose. Our hips might be feeling a little bit less tight now. Just starting to soften up a little bit. Now let's walk our fingertips out as far as they will go on the mat and just feel a nice stretch across our back and our shoulder tips, shoulder blades, just to push those fingertips out. And then let's walk them back. Relax. Walk them out one more time. Just walk our fingertips out as far as they'll go on the mat. Just feel a stretch across our back and through our arms. Just in hold here for 5 breaths. Let's come all the way back. And now let's press our hips slightly to the right. And then back to center. Slight to the left. And back to center again. One more time over to the right. Again, just pressing to the right, just feeling a stretch on the outside of our hip. This should just feel nice, should feel good. And then back to center again. And then over to the left. And back to center. Now let's walk those fingertips out as far as they'll go again, really feeling that stretch. Let those fingertips go as far as they will go. And let's just come all the way up. So our shoulder blades are over our fingertips in kneeling plank. And then press back again into child's pose. And we can do this again on our breath. So we can inhale as we're up, exhale as we come back. Or we can stay in one or the other position for a couple of breaths, whichever feels more comfortable. We always want to inhale as we're coming up and exhale as we're coming back. And we can also experiment if we want by turning our toes under, lifting up, pressing our hips back up to where the ceiling meets the wall. And we can move into downward facing dog and full plank. Again, we always exhale as we move back and inhale as we come forward. So continue with any combination. Again, we can do this on our breath, or we can stay for 2 breaths in child's pose or downward facing dog, and 2 breaths for kneeling plank or full plank, or whatever feels good. We just want to focus on getting our breathing aligned so that when we come up, we're inhaling and we're exhaling as we're coming back. So let's just do 1 more of each and then come back into child's pose 1 more time. So let's come all the way back again. We can bring our arms a little closer, just keeping our knees close together. Let's come back into child's pose. Now let's come all the way up, and we can have our blocks close by if we would like. And let's bring our right leg forward into a kneeling lunge. And we can hold here in a kneeling lunge, or we can come up into a full lunge. We can just turn our toes under and lift, or we can hold on to blocks and just lift up in this way and keep our balance by holding onto our blocks, or we can stay in our kneeling lunge. Now let's walk our foot over. If we're in full lunge, come all the way down, bring our knee back to the mat, and then walk our right foot over to the long edge of the mat and lean into that really tight hip that says, no, I don't want you to lean in there. We come forward. If we sit back, we're not going to feel much of a stretch. So we want to come forward, just be a little off center so that we feel that stretch on the outside of our hip. And again, if we come back a little bit, it reduces the intensity. If we come forward, it increases the intensity. Hips are so tight, they just really hang on from all the sitting and the sitting. Just going to hold here for a few more breaths. Now let's walk that foot back over so the knee and the ankle are in a straight line. Keep our hands on the mat, turn the toe under of our left leg, lift up, press back so we feel a stretch in our calf, and just hold there, feeling that nice stretch in our calf. Now let's place our knee back down on the mat. Let's bring our right leg back, bring our left leg forward. Again, we can stay in our kneeling lunge. We can use our blocks to lift ourselves up. We can turn our toes under and just lift up into a full lunge and hold. If we want to work on strengthening our quads, we can stay in this in a full lunge, or we can keep our knee on the mat and work on stabilizing our and strengthening our hips. We just hold here. Now let's walk our foot over to the long edge of the mat. If we're in a full lunge, we've brought our knee down, and we're just going to lean in again into that hip. Remembering if we come forward, we feel more of a stretch on the inside of our hip. If we bring our body back, we're going to feel the stretch in a different place. Let's just hold here. Okay, let's walk our foot back over so that our knee and our ankle are in a straight line. Keep our hands on the mat, turn the toe under of our right foot, lift up, press back. Feel the stretch in our calf as we just hold in this position, continuing to breathe. Now let's bring that knee down. Let's bring our left leg back. Let's do that one more time. So let's bring our right leg forward. Again, we can stay in a kneeling lunge, or we can lift up into a full lunge. We're going to add arms this time. So we're going to lift our arms straight up. And again, keeping our core tight, whether we're in a kneeling lunge or a full lunge. And just hold our arms up. And then we're going to turn our chest so that we're facing the long edge of the mat towards our bent knee. Open up our arms. Again, just hold and breathe. Coming back to center. And then we're going to turn to the left. Again, just opening up our arms, keeping our core tight. Coming back to center. And then we're going to place our hands down on the mat. If we're in a full lunge, we bring our knee all the way down, walk our right foot over to the long edge of the mat, lean into that stretch. We should feel a little bit looser this time, I hope. Should be starting to just soften up slightly, those hip flexors. Now let's walk that foot back over just so that our ankle and our knee are in a straight line. Turn our toe under of our left leg, lift up, press back. And again, feel the stretch in our calf. Bring that knee back down to the mat. Let's bring our foot all the way back. Let's bring our left knee forward. Again, we can stay in a kneeling lunge. We can lift up into a full lunge, whichever we'd like to do. And we're going to just hold here. We're going to add the arms again this time. So with core tight, lifting arms high. Again, just focusing on keeping our core tight, our hips balanced. And now we're just going to turn towards our left side, towards our bent knee, opening up our arms. Again, nice twist. Coming back to center. And then opening up to the right with our arms open. Again, just feeling that stretch. Like a mini warrior two. Coming back to center. And then again, if we're in a full lunge, we bring our knee all the way down. Bring our hands to the mat. Walk that left leg over to the long edge of the mat. Lean in. And just feel our hips softening slightly. 5 breaths in all of these poses. Let's move that foot back so that our ankle and our knee are in a straight line. We're going to turn the toe under of our right foot, lift up, press back into a nice stretch. Feeling that stretch in our calf. And now we're going to take a big step forward so that we're going to bring our foot all the way up. So our right foot is beside our left foot, and we're going to come all the way up, sweeping our arms up overhead. Big inhale, exhale down. Sweeping our arms up again, big inhale, exhale down. And again, this time, as we inhale up, if neck allows, just bring our head slightly back with our throat open. Again, only if our neck feels comfortable doing this. Coming down one more time, hands to heart center. And now let's move into our warrior poses. So let's start by stepping back with our right foot, with our left knee bent, bringing our arms up high into warrior one. And now let's straighten our front leg, hinging forward from our hips. Let's drop our hands down on our leg into pyramid pose. Again, we're going to hold all of these for 5 breaths. And then we're just going to turn our chest so it's facing the long edge of our mat. Bring our left arm down in front of our left leg. Bring our other arm up into triangle pose. Now let's bring that hand down slowly. Bring our other hand up to meet it slowly, coming all the way up. Let's pivot so that our right foot is forward and our left foot is back. Yes, our left foot is back in short stance warrior one. So let's raise our arms up in short stance warrior one. Now let's straighten our front leg, just hinge forward slightly from our hips. Let our arms drop down into pyramid pose. And now let's turn our chest so it's facing the long edge of the mat. Bring our right arm down in front of our right foot. Again, we can lift our arms straight up overhead into triangle pose. Now let's bring that hand down slowly. Bring our other hand to meet it into heart center. Pivot so that our left foot is forward again. Step back with our right. This time we're going to just move into long stance warrior one. So we come back a little bit farther. We want to be able to balance on the outside edge of our back foot. We want our hips to face the long edge of the mat. Our left knee is bent, our arms are high, and we are in long stance warrior one. Now let's just turn so that our chest is facing the long edge of the mat. Open up our arms, looking out over our front hand into warrior two. Drop our back hand down, turn our front palm over, side bend into reverse warrior. Now let's hinge forward from our hips, drop our left arm in front of our bent left leg, bring our other arm up, turn our chest to face the long edge of the mat, in side angle pose. Let's bring that top arm down, bring our other hand up to meet it in heart center, come all the way up, pivot so that our right leg is forward and our left leg is back. Again, let's try to come back a little bit farther so that we can still balance on the outside edge of our back foot. Our heels are in a line. Our arms are high and we are in long stance, warrior one. Now let's turn so our chest is facing the long edge of the mat. Open up our arms, bring our shoulder blades together, look out over our front hand in warrior two. Drop our back hand down, turn our front palm over, side bend into reverse warrior. And then let's hinge forward from our hips, drop our front hand in front of our right bent knee, bring our other arm straight up overhead, or we can bring it all the way overhead into side angle pose. Let's bring that top arm down, bring our other hand up to meet it. Let's pivot. Let's do that one series one more time. So let's step back into long stance warrior one. Again, one side is going to feel more open than the other. We still want to be able to balance on the outside edge of our back foot. Our hands are high and we are in long stance warrior one. We should be starting to feel our hips starting to open up a little bit now. As we're pressing back on that, the outside edge of the back foot. Now let's turn our chest so we're facing the long edge of the mat. Open up our arms, bring our shoulder blades together, look out over our front hand in warrior two. Drop our back hand down to our back hip, turn our front palm over, side bend into reverse warrior. And then let's just hinge forward from the hip, drop our hand in front of our front bent knee, bring our other arm up, straight up into side angle pose. Bring our hands down, bring our hands to heart center, pivot so that we have our right foot forward and our left foot back, sitting back on the outside edge of our back foot. Arm is high in warrior one. Now let's just turn so our chest is facing the long edge of the mat. Open up our arms, bring our shoulder blades together, look out over our front hand, work on keeping our front knee from caving in, and just hold in warrior two. Drop our back hand down, turn our front palm over, side bend into reverse warrior. And then dropping our front hand in front of our front bent knee, bring our other arm straight up overhead or all the way overhead into side angle pose. Now let's bring our top hand down, bring our right hand together, bring into heart center, keeping our legs wide with our feet in the same direction as our knees, keeping our hands together in heart center. Let's sit back into prayer pose, and we sit way back. Shouldn't feel any pressure in our knees as we're sitting here. Now let's straighten our legs slightly, come all the way down. We can come down to a high block, a low block, or all the way down to the mat, and just feel the stretch up the back of our body as we hold here. Now let's bring our hands together, come all the way up. Again, sit back into prayer pose. Again, sitting way back so we feel no pressure in our knees, making sure that our toes are tracking in the same direction as our knees, so there's no stress. And then straightening our legs slightly, just hinging forward. We can again come to a high block, a low block, or all the way down to the mat. Just feel the stretch up the back of our body. Now let's come all the way up again. Let's move into our balance poses. So let's just start with tree pose. So again, we're going to tighten our core, turn our right foot out. We can leave our toe on the mat with our heel on our ankle if we like, or we can bring our leg up farther, bring our arms up as well, and just hold in tree pose. Nice and relaxed. We put our foot down, bring our arms down, bring our hands to heart center. Let's do the same on the other side. Again, we turn our hip out. We can leave the toe on the mat and just hold in a hip opener, or we can bring our foot up farther. And we can leave our hands here, or we can bring them up wherever we would like them to go. Bring your arms down. Bring our hands up to heart center again. Let's move into dancer pose. Again, with dancer pose, we just take our hand and go inside. So we're hanging on to the ankle on the inside, lifting our foot up. Again, we can bring our arms forward, inch forward from the hips into dancer pose. We're dropping that foot down, dropping the hand down. Again, same thing on the other side. We take our hand around so that we're coming in on the inside. We're lifting up our ankle. And again, we're holding. We can hold right here if we like, or we can bring our arm up. And bringing our arm down, bringing our hand down, releasing. Now let's turn so that we're facing the short edge of the mat. And we are going to just sit back into chair. So let's sit back into chair. And let's bring our left elbow to our right knee. So we're just moving into twisting chair. Let's just hold in twisting chair for a few breaths. Now let's come back to center, come all the way up. Big breath, arms up high overhead. Exhale down. Inhale up again. Exhale down. One more time, inhale up. Bring hands back to heart center. Sit back again into chair. And just this time, we're going to take our right elbow and place it on our left knee as we move into twisting chair. Now let's come back to center, sweeping our arms up overhead. Again, big inhale, exhale down, inhale up, exhale down. One more, inhale up, exhale down. And now this time, again, we're going to sit back into chair and we're going to swan dive all the way down to the mat onto our stomach. So let's open up our arms, bend our knees, come all the way down, swan dive, all the way down to the mat and come all the way down to our stomach and just come onto the mat. And let's take our left arm and just turning it, just bending it at the elbow, placing our head on our bent arm. Let's just take our right hand and our right ankle. So we can do this with our ankle. If we can't reach our ankle, we can use a towel or a strap just to hold on. Again, just relax our head onto our bent arm so that we're not stressing our neck, and we're just going to hold onto our ankle, just stretching out our leg. If there's any tension in our knee, we're just going to release it slightly. And again, we don't want to hold on to our toes. So we want to either hold on to our ankle or have a strap that allows us to put it around our foot just to hold on. Just a few more breaths. Now let's release that ankle. Let's bring our right arm, bend it at the elbow again. Rest our head on our bent arm so that there's no tension at all in our neck. Take our left hand and again, hold on to our left ankle, or take a strap and place it around so that we can just hold our bent knee and just let our leg relax. Now let's release that ankle. Let's bring our arms, bend both our arms just at the elbows, and we're going to just move into locust pose. So we're just going to start by just using our back to lift our chest up off the mat. No pushing with your hands. We're just holding with our back muscles, holding it up, and then relaxing down. And let's do that again. Let's inhale as we come up. Continue to breathe as we hold. Again, just letting our back hold up our chest from the mat. And then exhaling down. You do that one more time. We're going to just lift our chest up. And then exhale down. Now we continue to just use lifting our chest, or we can add our legs as well. So this time we're going to lift up with our chest, and we're going to lift our feet up off the mat at the same time. So we're going to lift as we inhale, and we're just going to continue to breathe as we lift our chest and our legs up off the mat. Again, working our back, and then exhaling down. Let's do that one more time. Let's lift up. And exhale down. Beautiful. Okay, so now we're going to place our hands directly under our shoulders. We're going to take a big inhale. We're going to press up and press all the way back into child's pose. So let's come all the way back. Let's reset our back from that back bend and just hold here for 5 breaths. Now let's come up. Let's swing our legs around so that we're sitting on our sit bones. And if having our legs straight is uncomfortable, then we should sit up on a block or a pillow. We want to be able to just lean forward slightly with our legs straight, but without straining our legs. So if we need, if it's more comfortable to have bent knees, sit up on a block or a pillow so that the legs can be straight. And we're just going to lean forward from our lower back. So we're not going to pull on anything. We're not going to try to collapse all the way down. We're just going to come down as far as is comfortable, just letting our back feel a nice, gentle stretch. We just let gravity hold us here. And anytime it feels intense or like we may want to reposition, just sit up again and then just come forward. And might feel that this time you might be able to just come forward a little bit more. Again, this should not feel like an intense stretch. This should just feel comfortable. This is staff pose. We're in staff pose. Now let's come up. Let's take our right leg outside of the mat. Bring our left leg bent into our inner thigh. And again, if our knee is high, we just place a block under it to give it support. If our knee is straight down, we leave it as it is. And we're just going to bend slightly towards our right leg. We'll feel a stretch at the inner thigh of our right leg and up the side of our left side of our body. We're just going to hold here. Now let's come up. Let's take our left leg straight, bring our right leg in. And now let's take our left leg outside the mat and bring our right bent leg into our inner thigh. Again, if the hip is high, place a block under it just to give it support. And we're just going to lean slightly to the left, feeling a stretch in our inner thigh and then up the right side of our body. Just hold here again. We just want to get enough of a stretch so that we can get just to our edge. So we get to a point where it's just feeling intense, and then we just pull it back just slightly. And then each time we do this, it just gets a little softer and just feels like we can bend a little bit farther. Now let's come up. If there's a block under our hip, let's remove it to bring our right leg straight, our left leg straight. And we're going to roll back all the way down to the mat. So let's hold on to the backs of our legs. And let's just roll all the way back down to the mat so that we're on our back and bring our knees to our chest. And let's just roll back and forth. Now let's keep our knees bent, drop our soles of our foot to the mat. We're going to lift up into bridge. So let's just pressing the soles of our feet into the mat, lift our hips up to the ceiling. Let's just hold for 2 breaths. And then come down again, bring our knees to our chest again, just rolling back and forth. Now let's drop the soles of our feet with bent knees again to the mat. Let's lift our hips up to the ceiling. And this time, let's hold for 5 breaths. Let's drop back down to the mat. Let's bring our knees to our chest again. Now let's drop our left leg down. Let's bring it straight down to the mat. Let's straighten our right leg and holding on to the back of our thigh, or we can use a strap. We're just going to hold this leg with the sole of the foot up to the ceiling. Just going to do a 1-leg inversion. Let's just roll our ankle, keeping our legs straight up. And just roll it in the other. Let's just keep the sole of the foot up to the ceiling. Let's put our toes up to the ceiling. And then bring our toes back to our shin. Bring our toes up to the ceiling. And then bring our toes back to our shin. Let's bend that knee. Bring it all the way down. Bend both our knees. Bring our knees into our chest. Again, holding onto our shins. Let's just roll back and forth. Now let's drop our right leg long. Bring our left leg straight up, holding onto the backs of our thighs. Just keep that foot straight up, or the leg straight up. And again, let's just roll our ankles. Now let's bring the toes to the ceiling. And then bring our toes back to our shins. And toes up to the ceiling again. And back to our shins. And let's relax that leg. And let's just bring our knees to our chest. Now let's bring the soles of our feet together. Bring our feet into butterfly. Just open up our arms at our shoulders. We're just going to hold in butterfly for a few breaths. This is our last pose before our final relaxation. So just as we're holding in butterfly with our arms open, just having our chest open as well. And just think about the most comfortable pose for our final relaxation. Just going to hold here for just another breath. And now find the position that is most comfortable for you for your final relaxation. And turn lights down. Bring something warm over so that it's nice and relaxing and calming. And I will leave you in your final relaxation for 5 minutes. and then I will come back and bring you back into the room. Now let's start to wiggle our fingers and our toes. Slowly bringing ourselves back into the room. Let's rub our palms together, warming our hands. And when we feel the warmth in our palms, place them over our eyes. And then slowly opening our fingers to let some light in. And then coming over to our side. And slowly bringing ourselves up to a comfortable seated position. And as we're in our seated position, let's raise our arms up overhead, inhaling as we sweep up and exhaling as we sweep down. Inhale up and exhale down. And inhale up. This time, let's bring our palms together overhead, bringing our hands down to heart center. Thank you for practicing together today. Have a wonderful week and namaste.